Is anyone else getting fed up with Roblox devs making shitty games and then they pull in thousands of players? Because I know I am. Just in case it wasn't already abundantly obvious, today we're going to be talking about Forsaken, which is an asymmetrical survival horror game where there's one killer who tries to stop a bunch of survivors from powering generators and surviving. If that sounds familiar to you, that's because this game definitely takes inspiration from the 2016 game that follows basically the same formula called Dead by Daylight. Now, before I start non-stop shitting on this game and talking about all the stupid gameplay decisions they made, I would like to just go over what I think that this game did well, and I want to give them credit for a few things. So right off the bat, this game is a lot better than a bunch of other quote-unquote inspired Dead by Daylight games, because this game actually does only take inspiration from Dead by Daylight. I feel like the way that this game plays and the different mechanics actually are different enough from Dead by Daylight that I wouldn't just call it a direct one-to-one copy. Which is more than can be said for games like Daybreak and fucking Dead by Roblox. Those motherfuckers aren't even trying to hide it, they actually just use the same name. Also, a lot of the killer and survivor concepts are really cool. Alright, now that I've told you everything that I like about this game, I'm gonna spend the rest of the runtime of this video telling you why it sucks. By far the biggest problem with this game is that it has no substance. Basically, how this game works is you spawn in, you either have to do 3 or 5 generators, and then you wait out a timer. There's literally, like, a killer chases you around, but you hold W and hold shift to get away from him. There's no mechanic for making getting chased by the killer actually interesting. And it feels like doing generators is pointless because after they're all on, nothing happens. The timer just keeps going down and you have to wait it out. So at the end of the day, what this whole game boils down to is you run around, do generators, and hope that if you don't have an overpowered character, the killer doesn't hard target you, because if he does, you're dead, because there's no way in the game for you to escape the killer, because unlike the parent game Dead by Daylight, there's no mechanic for looping or there's no obstacles you can jump over to stall out the killer, you just have to run. By far the biggest problem, though, is that this is an asymmetrical game, which means that the team with more players is supposed to be weaker individually, but when they work together, they're supposed to be able to rival the strength of the one-person team that's individually is much more powerful. And this Forsaken doesn't have basically any team play potential at all. So I'm just gonna play 2 clips, one from Forsaken, one from Dead by Daylight. Both involve how your teammates can interact with and affect how an interaction with a killer turns out.
Dope. And I'm currently generating. That's just me personally.
I'm trying to keep this guy alive, but he does not want to live.
Oh, is that the guy that you wanted to keep alive by any chance?
Yes.
The one that fucking died? Alright, well.
Oh, hi, Nemesis!
Oh, I'm so sorry, Soldier. I'm so sorry.
You a bitch! You're a whore!
That's
I'm gonna die! I don't have a pallet!
I'm
Are you
so
ready?
sorry if it's haunted
I
ground.
wouldn't take that if I were you.
I'm so sorry if it's haunted ground. Immediately gets exposed. Alright, so in that first clip, you can see that this killer was hard targeting the guest character, and I was trying to give him shields and give him speed boosts, and took a few hits to help him get away. The thing is, that accomplished nothing, and the killer was still able to immediately catch up to him and end his life, because there is literally no way to escape the killer if they just decide to hard target you. It felt like my attempts to help were actually just accomplishing nothing, and being this guy's teammate was actually getting him nowhere, which is crazy different from how Dead by Daylight handles similar mechanics. There's a lot going on in this second clip, so I'm gonna break it down for people who don't play Dead by Daylight and had no fucking clue what was happening. So basically, I was working on a gen out in this courtyard, and the Nemesis killer found me. So, you know, I was gonna take a hit here because, yeah, I was fucked. And then Nemesis missed with a tentacle strike, which actually gave me some time to make distance, and even if he got the next hit off, I could still probably make it to a pallet and loop him for a while. The problem is, my teammate found a hex, and hexes are basically these little skulls on the ground that buff the killer in some way. So if you're a survivor and you find a hex, you're gonna want to get rid of the hex. The problem is this specific hex, when you get rid of it, actually applies a status effect called exposed to every survivor on the map, which makes it so that instead of having to get hit twice to go down, you only have to get hit once. So this event that's happening on the other side of the map completely affected how my chase turned out, which is something that I think is really interesting and actually makes the game better because it means that your team has to be constantly monitoring what everyone else is doing and makes every action you take feel more impactful. The next problem that I have with Forsaken is after all the generators are powered, you don't really do anything. So basically, at the beginning of the game, there are 5 generators scattered around the map, and you have to get on these generators and do a mini game to power the generator. And after these generators are done, if the timer runs out and there are survivors still alive, the survivors will win. This is really lame. If you look at how Dead by Daylight handles this, after you power all 5 of the generators, 2 exit gates get powered, and basically if you go to an exit gate, hold the lever down for long enough, the exit gate will open and you can escape. But this creates some really interesting dynamics with the killer, where if one of your teammates is still in the map or on a hook, and you power the exit gate, you might be leaving them behind, so maybe you want to go back and save them first. It creates a moral dilemma and like a realistic problem because it's like, can I go back and save this person without getting killed myself and just losing my team more points? Forsaken has none of that. You power the generators and you sit in the corner and hope the killer doesn't find you, which just isn't interesting at all. Even though I've said a lot of shit detracting from Forsaken, I actually don't think it's like a really bad game. I think it's definitely kind of lame and they could have done something more with the premise they were going for. But I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't steal their game concepts from someone else, which is a lot more than can be said for other games. And they did genuinely try and do something new and innovative in the genre that they were going for. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what to suggest when it comes to making this game better, because the flawed mechanics that make this game uninteresting are the mechanics that the game is built around. So things like the lack of team play and the way that nothing happens after you power the generators, those are things that would have to be completely reworked and the whole game would have to be rebuilt around. Which honestly, I don't think the devs are going to do that because they've already seen so much success with the way that they've been handling their game up until this point. But I mean, yeah, I think this game could have been handled better. If you enjoy it, don't let me ruin it for you. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Peace.